Welcome to the Prepping for the Shark Show, where you tune into practical and tactical tips for building your business, featuring our live hot seat pitch coaching show. I'm Burke Franklin. I developed the first business planning software system called BizPlan Builder, making it easier to make sense to investors. Also with me is our co-host, Robert Browning, a proven senior executive, entrepreneur, and community leader with more than 40 years of successful business development experience. And Fred Parrish, who's actually the original creator of Prepping for the Sharks. He's a seasoned executive, author, and management consultant who focuses on improving business performance at every level of the organization. And a warm welcome to our special guest expert, Helice Sparky Bridges, known as the 1 Minute Miracle. Helice is the visionary behind the Who I Am Makes a Difference Blue Ribbon movement, which has impacted over 100 million lives worldwide. In just 60 seconds or less, her 7-step blue ribbon formula transforms conflict into a heartfelt connection. Jack Canfield calls her a cross between Martin Luther King and Gandhi and declares her formula is simple, a set of words, and when you use them, they just work. Helice is also the recipient of the Gandhi Nonviolence Award, leading a global movement to give young people a voice to unite communities. One child, one community, one country at a time. It's Blue Ribbons worldwide, blueribbons.org, and you can reach her at sparky@blueribbons.org.
Yes.
So welcome, Sparky.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And we're prepping with the sharks. So good on us. We're just getting the job done so we can all live, dream, and succeed. Yes?
Yep.
Yes, a big
Robert, lead off with a question.
Hey, I'd love to. I'm always so curious about what got you started to create the whole blue ribbon phenomenon.
Yeah, so I'm 83 years young now, and I'm excited about life and forward moving, but it wasn't always that way. When I was 37 years old, my husband and I were millionaires. We had everything. What was happening for me is I felt invisible, trapped, and ready to give up. I was going to end my life because of 18 years of being married to this wonderful gentleman who was a brilliant entrepreneur, but behind closed doors, he was an emotionally abusive person. And at one point, my whole life just crumbled and it went dark inside, and I decided that was the end of my life. And here's the great gift that comes out of something like that. I just fell to my knees one day and I said, stop the world, I've got to get off and find a place where people love each other. I didn't feel loved, I didn't feel honored, and I didn't think I could matter, even though I was a super successful businesswoman and a mom. And I heard this little voice inside, a sweet whisper, and the voice said, you can't take your life because you're going to sing, dance, write, and have a musical on Broadway, and you're going to bring love to the world. I heard it like I'm talking to you. And I popped up like toast. I never heard such a thing. I didn't do much praying in those days. I was making a lot of money. And I went, say what? And all of a sudden I said, but I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't write. And then I heard this voice inside of me, yeah, but you can get a coach.
Oh, nice.
And that's really what prompted me to realize that just a language, just an acknowledgement within me, if I could do that for other people, maybe I could save a life, empower a dream, and have everybody feel innovated and connected rather than disconnected and feeling like their lives don't matter. So that's how it started.
Wow.
Wow.
How would you describe your 7-step blue ribbon formula?
Yes. So first of all, let me tell you that this blue ribbon, I'm going to show it to you. You might see it above me a little bit, but it says who I am makes a difference in it. And it's been described by psychiatrists as Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. So basically, once you have the basic needs met, and I include love in that, the blue ribbon ceremony creates a sense of safety, of belonging, esteeming ourselves, esteeming others, and self-actualizing in 60 seconds or less. And so let me just show it to you rather than give you the exact formula, and you could see it, and then I'll repeat it. How about that? So for all of you that are watching, I have a blue ribbon for you. And it says, who I am makes a difference. And I'd love to honor you for being on this magnificent program so that you could to discover yourself newly, leap in a different direction, take a risk, feel safe, feel supported, feel loved, feel nurtured, because you deserve it. Would you accept this blue ribbon from me? Yeah, you will?
Sure, yes, of course.
Yes, please.
May I have permission to place it on you? Everybody can nod your heads. Go like this, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to place it. I'm going to show you where it goes. I place it above your heart. See where it goes? Above the heart. According to heart math, the heart tells the mind what to do. So we come from the heart, and I place the ribbon above your heart, and I take the spark from my heart and put it in the cheerleaders in your ribbon. There's a whole community of cheerleaders in this ribbon. It's a little logo. In order to get the cheerleaders jumping for your dreams, do this with me, gentlemen. Okay, snap your finger and say, and a 1. Go like this and say, and a 1,
And a 1.
and a 2,
And a 2.
and a 3.
And a 3.
Bing! Say bing.
Bing.
Bing. Ha. Every time you hear a bing, you'll know a child just got their dream. And then I give you 2 extra ribbons to pay it forward so that you can honor others. And that's basically the ceremony in 7 steps, is to tell somebody that they matter. Ask them permission. Would you accept my gift? Don't just shove that sucker on them. Makes them, it's not esteeming. Say, may I have permission to place it on you? Don't touch a person without permission. Once you give it permission, and say, I place it above your heart. And it points up to all your greatest dreams coming true. I'm going to take the spark from my heart and put it in the cheerleaders. It's the sound that makes dreams come true. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. Bing!
Bing.
And give you 2 extra ribbons. And before you know it, you're laughing and crying. You're hugging. And basically that's the ceremony that was created. 35,000 people were honored in the first 3 months that I started this back in 1983. 1983. I brought a small group of people together, kids, teenagers, grandparents, business people, and about 12 people. And I said, here's ribbons, go out, honor people, come back and tell me what works and what doesn't, so that we can write a ceremony. And 35,000 people were honored. Everyone wanted a ribbon. Nobody wanted to be left out. And we created the 7-step blue ribbon ceremony that I just did, which is great. And the good news about that is everybody wanted a ribbon. And the other news about that is everybody wanted a piece of me. Like they're all telling me what to do. And we need ribbons in French and in Italy. And I'm spinning like a top and all that's going on. And I don't even know who I am yet. You know, I just want to tell people I love them. I'm going from a businesswoman to this blue ribbon pinning character, I would say, at the time. So that's what happened. And but it caught on, and then I got invited to speak. You know, I got invited to follow Al Gore and the Dalai Lama at the Environmental Earth Summit because somebody honored another person with the blue ribbon. And they heard that I was transforming education and love for kids around the world, and they invited me to speak there. You can't know, you know, I got the Soviet Union because I had a Russian ribbon. I walked with Gorbachev's wife. You know, you can't. I've been in Israel. I've opened and closed the Arab-Israeli conferences. I've keynoted the U.S. Army's Women's Equality Day. I've been all over the world speaking and training and designing transformational programs based on just this beginning of this ceremony and what came through me to continue to bring love to the world.
I think it's interesting you say who I am makes a difference when many of us, including myself until now or till meeting you, would be what I do makes a difference. And that's not what you're saying. You're saying who I am. That's all we need to be is who we are. It's not what we do. Although many of us, I think, you know, I'm nothing until I do something.
You bring up a really good, you know, Gandhi says we must be the change we wish to see in the world. And I didn't say do it, I said be it, yes? And And so the IMF, actually, interestingly enough, when I put the I am in the ribbon, I didn't say I make it, you make a difference or I make a difference. I said who I am. And I didn't realize that I did that for about 15 years until all of a sudden I looked at the ribbon and I go, wow, it's got the I am in it. I forgot that I even did that. I am that I am. It's so powerful.
Right.
And so I appreciate what you're saying. And also I want to just mention, I just wrote my children's book, Sparky and the Magic Blue Ribbon, how children brought life to the whole world. We're just recording it, and it will go on Kids Scoop magazine to 7.5 million people, kids around the world. But let me just mention about what you just said, Burke. That when I started this, I didn't think that it was going to go into elementary, middle, high school, colleges, universities, Fortune 500 companies. I just started to honor and do something simple and powerful and honor somebody, and it caught on. But what I didn't realize, and why that little voice inside of me whispered to me, is because I realized one day when I looked at the blue color of the ribbon and the gold, I said, oh my God, I remember this. When I was a little girl, I was 4 years old, and I had a dream that a little angel flew in through the window and landed on my heart. And she said, I've been traveling the world looking for children to bring love to the world. Will you help? And I yelled, in my dream, I said, I'll help. And and she goes, okay, from this time forth, every time you smile, sick people will get well, sad people will become happy, and angry people will not harm themselves or others evermore. And she thought, I will always be with you. And she said, one day when you're all grown up, I will give you a special gift. And she flew out the window and she was gone. And I told my parents the next morning about my dream. And they said, I told her this little angel came for me. And they said, you're my little angel. You're our little angel. And we love you. And every time you smile, you make us happy. That was the end of it. All of a sudden,
From the start.
It started this, and then the blue ribbon, and one day I looked at it and I said, wait a second, I know this. And that was it. The little angel had come back and told me to create this ribbon.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you've helped veterans too as well, right?
Yes. I was actually invited to keynote the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War for the U.S. Army.
Wow.
And it was a masterful couple of days, because also at that time they also invited me to do Women's Equality Day, to speak to the women. But what occurs, and I think this is beautiful, because Colonel Braga, who's now a three-star general, but at the time he was colonel at the U.S. Army base, and he said to me, after, he said, everybody was in tears. They were hugging. All of the soldiers did not know how to show their love and affection for each other. But what we did for you is we had all of the incoming soldiers honor the vets when I spoke. And I didn't know they set that up, and all the tables, and I was closing keynote. And while I looked at them, all the soldiers in their white uniforms, their starch white uniforms, stood up with the ribbons, and they going to cry. And they went up to each of the veterans and they honored them for their service. And everybody was crying in the room. I mean, because they come back from the service and they don't get acknowledged. And it shifted the condition. Thank you for asking that question.
Fred was raised by a veteran. His father was he a lifelong veteran, Fred?
Yeah, he was in the Marines for 20 years.
He was a drill sergeant?
Oh, yeah, I grew up in boot camp for sure.
And Fred just lost his father.
Oh, bless your heart.
Right.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we could go tomorrow, actually.
Take a pause for that for a moment, because what a blessing it is to have somebody who has that's that good a dad, and also is so disciplined and has taught you that. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
It's a lot of one thing and the heart, and yet you're feeling that love that that he has given you and continues to give you.
Yeah, I think that that is lacking in a lot of young people today. They just don't have that discipline
Yeah, may
and
I have
that
a
ability to kind of, just soldier through, to use a phrase, but just to get through some of those things that life throws at you. You can't just drop down and curl up in a little ball and
yes? May I speak to that for just a moment?
sure.
Okay. I appreciate what you're saying. What prompted me when in this blue ribbon ceremony is the kids raised, and this is 1991 now. It was a full 2-page article in the LA Times. The kids in one middle school raised money to have me come and speak to the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade assemblies. And they called me up and said, Sparky, I'm now called Grandma Sparky, but Sparky, we want you here. And we raised this money and they got the approval from the principal. I said, I won't come unless you get the press behind this. Thank you for the money, but you got to be able to, nobody's going to believe what we're about to do. They got the LA Times, the San Diego Union Tribune, Channel 8 News came out, and Copley was there. And I stood up and this is what I said, and I'm going to tell you what happened, and I'm going to tell you what we need to do for our kids right now, because I'm all about that. I said, I stood there and I said, one out of every 4 of you has been abused, and I know it. So if it's not you, it's somebody on both sides of you. This is going to be your assembly. In a moment, if you've ever bullied anybody, harmed anybody, put anybody down, I want you to step up to the microphone, state your name, what you did, who you did it to, and apologize. That person can come up and give a hug, shake, but clean it up. You need to feel like you matter here. And they line up. And I'm going to give you a little piece of this because kids are hurting like adults. They're all grown up now. I've been there for a long time. And they're still the same people in the same households abusing their kids or abusing themselves, don't know that they matter. That's why what you do in your coaching and prepping with the Sharks is to be able to give them the coaching tools and the ability to see that they can matter and have a new language and be present for young people. This generation really wants to make a huge difference. I'm going to give you one story and I'll leave it at that and you can ask any question. But the first boy that stood up, his name was Todd. And it's, by the way, it's in my book, where is it? Anyway, Who I Am Makes a Difference. And it's actually being made for a musical for Broadway, this story. But this assembly, actually. But Todd got up. He's a 7th grader. And he said, they call me a cut up, like I joke a lot in class, but I'm not a cut up. And he just bursts out crying and he's sobbing and he turns around and his back is to the audience. And I put my hand on his shoulder and I looked at everybody. I said, he's going to turn around in a minute and he's going to finish what he has to say. He turns around and I said, keep looking, keep talking. What you have to say is important. And he said, I lost my girlfriend last year and I don't know what to do. Kids ran out of in the assembly, ran up to him and circled around him because his girlfriend had committed suicide. And nobody was talking about it, and he had no place to release that. If you're talking about one after another of those kids got up, and each one got a blue ribbon from me, and this was, I was 51 years old at the time. I've done many of those assemblies since. The kids will come back 30 years later and tell me the difference that made is they all felt connected and loved. They were bullying each other and they stopped doing that. They started talking about their dreams and they helped each other. They just need a way to do that. And they need a safe place to do that. And unfortunately, I'm that lady that gave them that in 60 seconds or less, one after the other. And this is documented. So I just want to say the kids are great. They just need to be in a fertilized soil that grows their greatness.
Sparky, can you mention the one story that made it into the Chicken Soup for the Soul first book that
Yeah.
Jack Canfield talks about on your website?
Yes, of course. So this is an example. A teacher in New York got a bag of our ribbons, and she decided to tell her class, let's do a community building project. Let's see what will happen. And she honored each of her students one at a time and told them how great they were, how much she loved and respected them, and placed the ribbon above their heart and gave them 3 extra ribbons and said, go out and honor people. This is exactly what happened that afternoon. One of the high school seniors honored a junior executive. This is on Wall Street, and for helping him with his career planning. And he placed the ribbon above his heart, cheered him on, and gave him 2 extra ribbons and said, we're doing a class project. Would you honor somebody? And then give them the extra ribbon and come back and tell us what happened. Tell me what happened. That afternoon, the junior executive goes to his grouchy boss. And he honors him for being a creative genius and giving him a job. Asks him if he could place the ribbon above his heart. The guy's going, okay. And cheers him on for his dreams and gives him the last ribbon and says, this kid is doing a class project, please honor somebody. That night, the grouchy boss driving home in New York traffic, thinking, who am I going to honor? Gets home and he sits his 14-year-old boy down on the sofa, looks him in his heart, with his heart, he's connected to the boy, and he says, every night I come home, I yell at you for not cleaning up your room or getting better grades in school. But tonight, son, I just want to tell you that who you are makes a difference to me, and I love you. And the boy just breaks down weeping. And he gets up, he goes over, opens a drawer, pulls out a gun, looks at his dad and says, I was planning on committing suicide tomorrow, Dad, because I didn't think you loved me. And now I don't have to. That story was told. The teacher called me in 1988 before Chicken Soup came out. And I could not stop crying because I had left my husband and I walking around pinning ribbons and I didn't know who I was. And I told Jack Canfield that story. We were buddies, Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield. And I said, I have to tell this story for the rest of my life. And they said, we're going to tell it everywhere. And it wound up in the first Chicken Soup for the Soul book. And it's in schools all over the world. That's on our website now, that video. And it's used everywhere.
And arguably, it was one of the stories that kicked off that amazing series, the Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
Yes, I don't think we all knew what was going to happen, certainly, but I didn't. I was inundated by calls morning and night. I had a landline, for goodness sake, and and my friend who's a publicist wanted to get me on Good Morning America right away. And she had called them and they said, oh, yes, because my ribbon was something spectacular. And I said, go away from me, leave me alone. I got too many demands on me and I don't know how to do this. I don't want to. I don't know who I am yet. And I actually said no more than once. And I'm glad I did that, actually. I want to just say that because I think we need a lot of support around us, yes? We need people to give us systems and structures like what you're talking about. Instead of everybody pushing me to do something I wasn't ready for because I didn't have the railroad tracks for that. The demand is so great, it would have taken me off my purpose and I would have gotten swallowed up by the sharks, if you will. And people really had good intentions, but my health was at risk to meet the demands of everybody. So, but I share that story all the time. I'm grateful that you said that because also I just want to say that my work is to make sure that I'm always loving and supportive. And I finally reached out to my sons who are now 57 and 59, but about 16 years ago, they were working with their dad. And we had separated, we had divorced a long time before that, and they thought I was a crazy woman with this ribbon. And it's like nobody could understand what I was doing. And certainly Dad just like said, I don't know what happened to your mother. Um, and I said, I want to talk to Dad, and I want to, I want to heal our relationship. And Dad was not reluctant to do that for sure. He was a spectacular business person, a very logical and very accomplished guy. And finally, we made that happen. And my former husband came up to me and he said, the boys have been insisting I talk to you, but if you do that blue thing on me, I'm out of here. And I said, actually, no, I want to just tell you what a great guy you are, how great a father you've been, how successful when we almost went bankrupt, you took your bankruptcy to buying 17 shopping centers. I went on and told him for a half an hour the great things he did. And he was crying. And when I finished, he said, okay, it's my turn. And then he told me all the great things that he had never said anything good about me. He was very, I was very invisible around him. He was like the godfather. But he broke down and he started to cry, and we started to heal. And we did. In an hour and a half, we just hugged, and he said, I'm going to tell the boys that I love you. And then he passed away shortly after. And he was wow. a great guy and all like that. But if I hadn't done that and insisted to my boys helping me, and they did, love is very invisible to most people. They don't know how to love. They don't know how to see good. They don't feel that they matter, and so they can't matter for others and their kids. And we can do that in 60 seconds or less. That's my goal, to reach 1 billion people by 2034, which is like 9 years from now. That's my intention.
And Fred is a numbers guy, and he wrote a really great book about why most businesses run out of money and what you could do about it. So could you repeat the numbers again with him about your goal?
Absolutely. So my intention is that 1 billion people are honored with the blue ribbon that says who I am makes a difference, led by kids, starting by young people, to be able to honor their parents, their teachers, their neighbors, the business people that they want to work with. And so that catches on. Give them 2 extra ribbons, pay it forward, so everybody will know how to acknowledge the worth and importance of themselves and others. That is my goal. I only had the ribbon ceremony to teach people how to begin to do that. Now I have a year-long program. I love speaking and training. It's my joy. And eventually having the musical that I wrote on Broadway in New York.
All right.
And achieve that goal before my 100th birthday is my intention.
Your angel was pretty accurate, huh?
Yes. Yes.
And now you've become the angel.
I appreciate you saying that. They call me the 1 Minute Miracle. I'm writing the book right now, the 1 Minute Miracle. Robert Allen told me to do that a long time ago after the 1 Minute Manager.
Right.
And Dr. Spencer Johnson, when I honored him back when the 1 Minute Manager first came out, and I honored him, and he said, this is a necessary tool to bring about great change in today's society. And that was a long time ago when he said that. And I wrote it down and I went, cool. And that was about it. I didn't know what to do with that, but God bless us now. We have your programs, and the gifts that you have, I want to receive. I'm here to learn, to grow, to discover what I know and what I don't know, and make it better for young people to grow in an environment where they all know that they matter, and the focus is on what they're doing right and what they need, because they're the big why right now. They're saying, why am I doing this? What difference does it make? And if you can give them some railroad tracks, they'll do it every time. They're actually dying Suicide is the second leading cause of death among kids from 10 to 24, and we just saved a 6-year-old from hanging himself. So this is critical. We're in a place in our society where we need what you're doing, and we need it with love, and to point out what is working, and stand on the shoulders of greatness right now.
And as tough as business is, there's a lot of great books. One is The Multipliers that talks about how to be a multiplier versus a diminisher. And some of these principles are woven into that in leadership to truly lift people. Crushing them is not always a good idea.
Yeah. When what I've discovered and why I got to the Soviet Union, let's say, or any place else, it all started with a ribbon, for goodness sake. I had no marketing. The point is that when most people feel, and I would say this because I've probably honored hundreds of thousands of people personally, and I'd say 95% of the people will hug me and cry and say, "You're the first person that ever told me I mattered." And so we're talking about teaching people into a vessel where you don't even think you matter in the first place. And you've been told what you do wrong for almost through your whole life. That we live in a punishment model society where everybody gets graded by a red mark on the top of their paper when you're growing up. And it says how much you did wrong, that red mark. I ask everybody, is they still doing that in school? Yeah, they give you a little a red pen they get, if you got 10 questions and you get 7 right, you get 3 wrong, it's -3 rather than plus, yay, 7, how do we make that better? I think it's a whole way of shifting conversations. Would you say, Fred, would that make sense to you, what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would. I guess a question I would have that would be relevant to the businesses that we are looking to help.
Yes.
So how would you see a business owner applying this concept to their environment?
Okay. So I'll give you, I was invited to speak, to keynote a conference, Fortune 500 company. But what I said is, before I do this, I want to meet with the chair of the board and at your board meeting. And they all sat. I said, can I have 10 minutes? This is what I did. And this is the difference it made. But we've done this a lot. I had 10 minutes. So I honored the chair of the board and told him how great he was, a fancy big, conference room. And he turns to honor the gentleman next to him. I said, now you turn and honor the gentleman next to you. This man pushes his hands away. They're on a big black rolling chair, pushes it away. And he said, you don't mean me. I pushed that chair back, turned him around, faced the chair. And I said, yeah, he means you. And the chair of the board says, Max, you're the safest person to come to in my company. You don't talk to me. You just listen when I come. And I never told you that. And he honors him. I give Max the ribbon and he turns to the person next to him and he says, Marty, we all know your wife's got cancer and we are all holding that prayer for you, but I don't think you know that we're all holding the prayer for you. By that time, the tissue box was out. Everybody's honoring each other all the way around. At the 10-minute mark, I turned to the chair and I said, we have 3 more people. He said, keep going. When you bring people together, I was just at Amazon, training the managers at Amazon, and they said, we wish we had this. In the first 10 minutes, we can get people emotionally talking to each other, being truthful and authentic, and it builds the relationships, because we're not a doing, we're a being. I hope that helps and gives you some kind of vision of what I'm talking about. Does that help?
Yeah, I think that's very good. And, you can tell that I've been doing this for a while.
Yes.
And when I started in business, it was brutal. And for a lot of years, most business owners are not terribly kind
That's right.
to especially their staff. Now they're kind to their customers and as much as they need to be to their vendors, but just like you mentioned your husband, when there's no one around to see it, they're not kind most of the time to their staff, and it affects the output, it affects the profitability, it affects everything in the company. So I think that's important to give people respect.
So here's the generation. Here's why I'm saying you're right. Okay, it's not for everybody. Only certain companies is going to invite me in. I can be on a main stage with the Dalai Lama and Vice President Al Gore and all the world leaders, but we're all in this stuck world too. Yes.
Right.
However, kids want to lead this. They'll go home and they'll honor their parents with this ribbon, or their siblings, or their teachers, or their neighbors, or the clerk in the store. They'll get a job from this. But what happens is when they give the 2 extra ribbons and say, we're doing a class project, and will you honor somebody and tell me what happens? And we get to write that story and share that story. All of a sudden, something opens up because everybody's waiting to be loved and honored and appreciated. And then it trickles in. For the sake of time, I'll just tell you that U.S. Cellular, a woman called me, that she oversaw 300 people. And I said, okay, I taught her how to do the ceremony. And this is what she did. Next day, she cut out a white piece of paper, just the frame, and put a big banner on the, when they get out of the elevator, they saw this big banner that just had the shape of this ribbon, and it was white. And they're all curious, what is that? The next day, she has all these cut into little shapes, little white papers, and put a lifesaver on each one, all 300 people, just a lifesaver on the top of a shape of this ribbon, but nothing written. Everybody's eating the lifesaver going, what is this? What is this? The next week, she puts my Who I Am Makes a Difference story that was written in chicken soup with a lifesaver on the top. And people are crying. And the next week, she hands all of them a blue ribbon. And they're all honoring each other. And all of a sudden, without any training at all, they start opening up every one of their meetings by honoring people in that reading. And that kicked off, and it won the fourth quarter U.S. Cellular President's Award. That's just one example. We've done this with Walmart, we've done this with Amazon and all that. But what when we're talking about this generation is waiting and dying to matter and make a difference, that's K's, by the way. That's why we do Discover Your Purpose, Robert.
Yes. And
with K's, the Community Alliance for Youth Success, which I've been on that steering committee for 14 years right now. And it's just about going to happen where kids are going to discover their purpose and know why they're here, and that will be a part of our educational system. And this is 60 seconds. It costs like $1, okay, to save a life. And it's a huge deal, but really it scares the bejeebies out of teachers to honor their kids. They're going to cry, or they're going to say, I don't like everybody, okay? If their kids honor them, then they cry, and then it just changes the whole trajectory. So I teach them how to do. The kids lead this. They honor their teachers. They honor each other. They get an all-school assembly. They talk about their dreams. They lift each other up, and so it's all formula. But it takes a while to change this culture. But kids can do it, and they're waiting for that. And that's my goal, to make that happen for them.
Grandma Sparky, how can people help create this movement and give it more momentum to reach your billion.
I like the $1 billion thing you just said too. Okay. So here's the thing. Directly, to email me directly at Sparky, SPARKY, at Blue Ribbons, BLUERIBBONS.org. and just say, I want to help. I want to know how we can bring this into my corporation, my school, my families, whatever. Email me directly. We don't put all this on the website. It's all, I just have to speak to people individually. Also, so do that. Also, you can go to our website at Blue Ribbons, BLUERIBBONS.org. Watch the documentary that Jack Canfield just did with me. Watch the Blue Ribbon movie that was in Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's on the homepage. Scroll down. You can order 10 free ribbons and just start the exercise of doing that. Then from there, you can go and order more ribbons. You can order my books, my children's books, invite me to come and speak. And I want to train kids to train, it's a train the trainer program. And in corporations, when adults feel that they matter, look, I can bust anybody. I'm only 5 feet tall, but I'm a cute one. And I've pretty much been around everybody. So whether I've been with the Bloods and the Crips or the Arabs and the Jews or the abused or abusers, I can walk into a room and in a few moments I can get everybody feeling loved, feeling supported, and knowing that who they are makes a difference. That I want to teach kids how to do so that I can get out of the way and do my musical on Broadway.
Nice. Nice. And they can donate too at your website?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. So you go on the homepage and click on donate and just be generous, okay? We're going, right now I'm going for $50,000 so that we can do a program for 50,000 kids here in San Diego. And that's just right here. But I want to do, we have Blue Ribbon Cities is U.S. House of Representatives put this in our Blue Ribbon Cities project, named it in the congressional record. So, we're mattering and making, this is me. I train leaders of leaders like Jack Canfield does all over the world. So people are duplicating my work as educators, as business people, all over the world. I empower them. They also do this work, but that's, so donate. Whoops. Did I hit you? Did I do something wrong?
No, you're here.
Oh, you're good.
I know I pushed myself. Pushed the button wrong. I hit my keyboard and it went away. But anyway, that's what we're doing over here. And you just be courageous with me. Come. I don't know anything about technology so much, but I want to come together with a team of smart people and say, here's what we've got. This is what we can do. Let's do it together. Tell me what works, what doesn't work, how we can make it matter. I don't want to do this by myself. I'm 83. I got a lot of energy, and I go to the Choose gym. But, all right. But you know what I'm saying here. I don't want to do this alone. So if anybody that knows and says, yeah, I like to piggyback with you and kind of listen more about what your vision is, so we can make a lot of money for and bring this program to a lot of schools and a lot of businesses and a lot of organizations worldwide. We are in 12 languages.
Can you repeat your website again?
Surely. Blue Ribbons, BLUERIBBONS.org. Make sure the S is on there or you're going to get something else.
Wow.
BlueRibbons.org. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what an amazing, powerful show we had today with Helice, Grandma Sparky Bridges. What a pleasure. What a joy. I had some more comments to make, but I was getting too emotional. So I'll save them for the next time we talk.
I love to. I'm great. I'm great to be entertained by you and to love you. And thank you for your vision. Because I think it takes a lot of risk and a lot of support and a lot of love to get people to actually live their own dreams.
And to lift people is worthy, and it's financially makes sense.
It makes sense. You got to unite this country. Our mission statement is uniting humanity through the power of love. One child, one community, one country at a time. You can't do it all at once, but you can do it one person. One person always changes the world. It's always been that way, but you can't do it alone.
Beautiful. Again,
agree with that.
We're prepping for the sharks.com, and we appreciate you, and we're here to help you do better in the world. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Sparky. Great seeing you again. Thanks for being on our show.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's been it's a miracle. I'll say, hey, thanks, little angel.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
over and out.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.